So if you're new to making videos like I am, you're probably looking for the way to get the cleanest audio that you can while still staying on somewhat of a budget. After a lot of research, watching a lot of YouTube videos, and reading a lot of reviews online, I think I actually found the mic that works out the best for the both of us. This is the Maono PD400X. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Bobby, and on this channel we talk about tech and travel. And heads up, this is not a sponsored video. This is my actual opinion and the results of a lot of hard work and diligent research by me. And like I said, I'm new to making videos, and after trying out a couple of different mic systems, there was a lot of failures that I found initially. I did not like a lot of the mics that I tried. I would get them in and I would test them, and I didn't like the way that they made my voice sound, or I didn't like the way that they picked up so much background noise, and that was really what motivated me to try to search for the mic that was right for me, I felt like. Ultimately, like I said, that led me to the Maono PD400X, and this mic has been excellent the whole time I have had it. I'm actually going to go through a quick unboxing for you real quick. When you get the microphone, you'll be greeted with some pretty premium packaging. This is a mic that you can buy on a budget, but that does not mean it is made with budget materials. It is super nice and premium. On the outside of the box, there's some generalized information about the mic. It is worth noting this is both a USB mic and an XLR connected mic if you have a sound system or like a soundboard that you want to use it that way with. We will get a little bit more on that later. And on the mic itself, there's also some control settings and dials that we will talk about here in a bit too. Once you finally get inside the packaging, the premium theme continues, and then you're actually greeted by the mic itself. I know I keep saying it, but it really is premium. You are getting a bang for your buck here. I've spent money on expensive equipment and had the packaging be way worse than this. It's like, this is nicer than iPhone packaging or anything like that from any other big company that you would expect. Inside the box, you'll see some of the standardized paperwork that you get with really any product. I would recommend looking through this as it explains some of the technical specs and details that I'm not the most familiar with and that you probably would want to know about this microphone if you were going to be buying it. I will say too, it's worth noting for later that there is a little pamphlet in here on the Maono Sound app that I will be going over with you, and I probably would recommend you download it if you're interested in buying this mic. One of the first things that you'll notice in this packaging is the big heavy bass that comes with the mic. This thing is weighted. It is nice, and it feels like it's super dense almost. I personally have not used it with my microphone. I've had it mounted on a boom arm, but I think that you can have complete confidence in this bass that it will keep your mic sturdy on the desk and not cause any like rocking noises whenever you're recording. On the bottom of the base too, there's also some little plasticky kind of things. They seem to be sticky, so if you do end up setting it on your desk, you shouldn't have any slippage issues either. Also included in the box is a really nice and premium feeling pop filter. Now this is something that I saw online beforehand, that maybe the company used to send a less thick pop filter with it. And that was something that I had seen in reviews that people complained about, but I did not notice any issues with this one at all. It is very nice. And it's good to see a company make improvements on their product based off of customer reviews. Shout out to Maono. As far as cables goes, like I said, you have your USB-C cord in the box as well as an XLR cable connector. Now, before I got into making videos, I was largely unfamiliar with XLR connection, but it is for soundboards if you have that, and it can help to give you a little bit more refinement to your sound. And then the USB-C can be used like normal. It's just a really plug-and-play solution, and that's what I do with my mic. As with all the materials that come in this box, these cables have a really nice feeling to them. They do not feel cheap or particularly bendable or flexible. They're really nice cables. And then it's also worth noting too that the little USB-C cable actually has a dongle that converts it to USB-A that is already included on it. So if you don't have USB-C connection on your computer or your laptop, you shouldn't have an issue. You can plug it into the USB-A and utilize the mic that way. And then finally, we get to the mic itself. This mic has an all metal body. It feels really nice, and it is also heavy. It looks beautiful without the pop filter, which makes me sad to put it on, but as some reviews noted, this mic does have a little bit of challenges with the plosives, so I probably would recommend that. But overall, straight out of the box, the mic has a nice hefty weight to it. All of the connections and the adjustments that you can make to it feel very nice. Overall, like I said, just very premium, unexpectedly so. Going back to the buttons, like I mentioned earlier, you actually have a few of them on the mic. The main one that you'll probably notice is a touch-sensitive microphone button. It actually mutes your mic. This is something that I read online and I was concerned about whenever I got the microphone because a lot of people had noted that they accidentally mute it whenever they touch it. This is not really something that I've had an issue with. I think it happened maybe one time. But I was able to notice, and the actual mic has feedback lights on it whenever you're talking into it, so I can always kind of keep track of what's going on, even out of the corner of my eye whenever I'm recording. Right below the mute button on the mic is actually a dial that serves as a 3-function button. With this, you're able to control your microphone gain, your headphone levels, and kind of like a balance between the two. It's really interesting, and I didn't think it would be that intuitive, but I was actually very surprised by the way it was designed and implemented. On the bottom, there's another couple of interesting things to note. That is where you will find the screw threading if you want to connect it to a boom arm like I have mine attached to, and that's probably what I would recommend. With this as well, you have the option for both 3/8 and 5/8 inch threading. And this is also where you'll find both the XLR connection and the USB-C connection on the bottom of the phone to power the microphone and transmit the data back and forth to your computer or whatever device you're recording from. One more thing to note as well on the bottom of the mic, there is actually a headphone jack or a 3.5mm jack that you can plug your headphones into and monitor your audio levels live while you are listening to them. That is very nice, very handy, and that's something that I use in a podcast that I do on the side all of the time. And one more little thing to look over on the bottom, there's actually a little tiny button down there that can serve as kind of like an equalizer adjustment. If you have presets or whenever you go in through the Maono app later, I believe you can set custom ones. This is something that's useful if that's something you're into. Me personally, I haven't really used it that much. Overall, super nice unboxing experience, but it gets even better from here. This is just the beginning. Straight out of the box, you can plug this microphone in with a USB-C cable like I did. It is very plug and play and it works excellently. That actually brings us back to the software that comes with the mic, and I had mentioned it earlier. It's the Maono Link software. You can get it from the Maono Link website, or it's actually mentioned in one of the pamphlets that comes in that we had unboxed earlier. This is something that, from my experience, I would encourage you to download because it unlocks some really cool features and you can really fine-tune this microphone even at a beginner level like me, not knowing that much about sound settings. Overall, the software is pretty simple, but there is both like beginner and advanced settings. After you open the software and it auto-detects your microphone, the first thing that you'll be able to see over there is the area where you can monitor your mic levels. There's also a nice convenient digital mute switch that's here, kind of similar to the one that's on the front of the microphone. It's right below that. You'll have a little slider for headphone volume levels and a slider for your mix level too, to balance between the tone and the mic itself and the headphone audio from your PC. It's below those are the options that I really want to focus on and that I use the most, and I think that you might get the most benefit and use out of, especially starting out. Under tone, you have a few different options to set the kind of sound profile or sound settings of the microphone. These options are deep, natural, bright, and legacy. Like I said, you can think of these kind of like sound profiles that change the tone almost of your voice, or at least change how your audience will end up hearing it. Me personally, I prefer natural, but I will go over some of those and show you how they sound individually here in a bit. Further down is another important setting, which is your distance. This is something that I would definitely recommend you play around with, and there's probably not going to be like one right answer for anybody. Mostly it'll just depend on your comfort levels and how kind of soundproofed your setup is. Me personally, I keep mine on near because I don't have a soundproof setup in the slightest. That said, maybe it is worth trying far if you do have a better setup than mine, because maybe it'll be a little bit more comfortable and you'll actually like the sound that comes out of it. I will say with this type of microphone, most of the time near is probably going to be what sounds the best, just because you get less feedback or reverb from the soundings around you. Over on the right side of the app, you have some options with some of the more advanced settings. This is where you'll be able to adjust the EQ that I mentioned before. There's a couple of different profile settings. Me personally, I don't use this feature that much, but I have seen that there's options in there, like I mentioned, to even make your own EQ profiles. So if that's something that you think you could get some use out of, I would definitely encourage you to check that out. And it is a nice feature to have. On this side too, there is some additional sound settings. There is a gain slider along with one for limiter, compressor, and noise gate. Like I said, I'll be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about audio and I've still continued to learn pretty much every day. So these are settings that I really don't mess with. I just keep it on the other side. But you do have that option if you are more advanced and you understand more than I do. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but for my sound test, it's worth noting that this microphone is called a carotid style microphone. Essentially what that means is you're meant to speak into the top of the microphone and not around any of the sides of it. And even then it seems to be best to kind of speak across the top rather than speaking directly into it, even though you can do that as well. It is important to know that about this mic because it definitely can be beneficial and negative. I know for a setup like mine, I definitely reap the benefits of it because like I said, my setup isn't soundproof. And with that, I mean, my desk is kind of in a corner, which you can't see, and I'm always facing two walls that the sound constantly bounces off of. So this mic does a really excellent job at isolating my voice and rejecting some of that sound that bounces off the wall. And just as a little example too, I will show you just if I move my mouth to here, you can hear me just so much worse. The sound really does a good job at picking up straight from the top of the microphone. Also, it's worth noting I have recorded this whole video with this microphone, as you probably saw by that test. That should probably give you a pretty good idea as to how it sounds. That said, I'll run through some of the different modes and sound profiles that I mentioned earlier so you can hear the difference between those. One thing I do want to show you first is distance. I think that's something that is really important that you get kind of nailed down right out of the gate, especially if you're going to be recording. Here are some examples I'll show you of the sound differences between distance, especially with my setup. This is a test of the near distance of the microphone with my mouth approximately 5 to 10 centimeters away. This is a test of the medium distance or mid distance with my mouth approximately 11 to 30 centimeters away as suggested by the Maono app. This is a test of the far distance with my mouth approximately 31 to 60 centimeters away as suggested by the Maono app. It's worth noting too that in the Maono app, whenever you change the distance, it actually shows you kind of the recommended distance between each different setting that it suggests that you speak into the mic from. As you can see from each clip, this is something that I was trying to abide by, and it's something that you may want to test out yourself. That said, I think the main point is the farther you set the mic and the further you speak away from the microphone, the more of that background noise that you're going to get picked up whenever you crank the sensitivity up for it. Now that we've got our position figured out, now we can move on to some examples of tone. This is something that's going to be pretty much different between everybody. I tend to have a little bit more of a deeper voice, more so than a high-pitched voice, even whenever I'm talking a little bit animated, so setting it to deep in the mic settings is just not worth it for me. It sounds a little bit strange. That said, based off of some of the different sound profiles, you may notice one that you think would sound better with your voice. With that, I'll go over a few examples with you of how my voice sounds in each of them. So it is worth noting that I'm doing this test with the microphone settings on near. That is typically what I leave it on whenever I'm recording, so that's what I will keep just as a baseline for the tone tests. This is how my voice sounds on the deep setting on the Maono microphone on the Maono Link app. This is how my voice sounds on the natural setting on the Maono microphone on the Maono Link app. This is how my voice sounds on the bright setting on the Maono microphone on the Maono Link app. This is how my voice sounds on the legacy setting on the Maono microphone on the Maono Link app. So after all of those tests, I personally use my mic on natural. I think it just happens to fit the way my voice sounds the most. But with that, your mileage may vary, and something that I actually did before I bought this microphone was research some different YouTubers that did reviews of this mic, and tried to listen to some whose voices I thought sounded the most similar to mine to get an idea or a gauge of how mine would sound in this mic. Overall, I would definitely recommend you probably do that because I think that gave me a good idea of where to go from here. So with all of that out of the way, the main question is would I recommend this mic to somebody else? And the answer is absolutely 100% yes, I definitely would. Like I said earlier, I'm by no means an audiophile in any way, but I really did love the way this mic sounded directly out of the box. I couldn't believe it whenever I took it out and I was so excited to get it plugged in, and I went to the sound recording app on my PC and it just sounded excellent. And I do think it's a testament to this mic that I do not have the best sound setup whatsoever, and I also am an extreme novice whenever it comes to audio engineering. It still just blows me away that I am able to get this mic to sound that good. Right before I got this mic, actually, I was looking into having to soundproof my walls, and I really did not want to do that where I'm in an apartment, and this mic completely saved me from all of that hassle. Even aside from the sound, another reason that I would recommend this mic to somebody starting out or like me is because it does have that XLR connection on it. Now, this is not something that I'm using at the moment, but as I grow my channel, as I continue to make content, and as I kind of reach the limits of what I have right now, it's nice to have that upgradability for the future and have it future-proofed in that way. And even then, whether you're like me and you record yourself mostly talking, or you're something like a musician and you need that extra level of control, investing in a microphone like this and having the option to add the soundboard later down the road is very nice. On top of that, again, especially for my voice, I just love the way this mic sounds. I think it gives my voice kind of like an authoritative sound to it, and it sounds nice and warm. And even then, it is a little bit of an investment at $150, but at that, I did not think it was too terrible for the premium packaging and premium body that you're getting out of this microphone. Even then, for something like the DJI Mic Mini that I have here that I paid $170 for, if you're at a desk setup like I am, there's no comparison. This mic is going to sound way better than these are. Not to mention, I have seen this microphone go on sale for as low as $115 or $120. I think it was on Prime Day recently. For something like that is just phenomenal value for audio of this quality. And something that I did before I bought this microphone too was look up some comparisons, and you can see people on YouTube comparing this microphone to really, really expensive mics that are, 3 and 4 times expensive, like the Shure SM7B, and they don't sound exactly the same, I'll give that to the Shure, but this mic definitely keeps up. So yeah, overall, if you're a newer creator like I am, and you kind of find yourself in the same position as me, I would definitely recommend you check out this mic. Do some research, watch some YouTube videos on it, kind of like I did, and just find out and see if it would be something that you're willing to make the investment into. Overall, it definitely has my recommendation if that counts for something. And guys, I tried not to go on for too long, but that's pretty much all I have for this video. I wanted to give you a quick little overview of this mic, and it's something that I've been using, and it's really helped me to grow my content. Do you have or have you ever used or heard this microphone? If you have, I would definitely like to hear about your experience with it in the comments. Also, as always, if you guys have any more questions, be sure to drop it down there and I'll do my best to get back to you. And then two, if you found this video helpful, be sure to leave me a like, as it really helps me to grow the channel and really helps me to continue to make more content like this. I will post a link to this microphone in the description from Amazon. If you are interested in checking it out, that would help me grow the channel as well. It would definitely help me out, and I would love you forever. And again, thank you guys so much for your time and watching the video. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I hope you all have an excellent day and an even better night. Peace.